The air crackled with anticipation. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting a sterile glow on the worn green felt of the pool table. Cigarette smoke, a haze of defiance against the non-smoking signs, swirled around the room. This was the heart of Sandhurst, the rec room, where soldiers came to unwind and where tonight the fate of their world hung in the balance. Emotionless man, the stoic proprietor of this domain, surveyed the scene with his usual impassiveness. His eyes, two dark pools reflecting the overhead lights, settled on his chief of staff, Hor-A, a man whose nerves were as tightly wound as a drum, fidgeted with his collar. S1, silent observation. Across the room, Commander Mike, chief of police and co-owner of the rec room, shared a laugh with his wife, Amy. Her smile, radiant and confident, could disarm even the most hardened soldier. Tonight, she was vying for the highest office in their world, Prime Minister. S2, laughing. Her opponent, the charismatic and ambitious bass man, held court by the dartboard, his booming laugh punctuated by the thud of darts finding their mark. S3, radiant smile. Lurking in the shadows, Slav Cheese, a man of few words and even fewer scruples, observed the scene with a predatory glint in his eye. He was a wild card, a man whose loyalty could be bought and sold, and tonight, his allegiance could tip the scales of power. S4, booming laugh.
Silent observation.
The election had gripped Sandhurst. The candidates, each a study in contrasts, had divided the soldiers. Amy, championed by Commander Mike, promised unity and prosperity. Her speeches resonated with hope, a vision of a brighter future for all. Baseman, backed by the formidable emotionless man, offered strength and decisiveness. S3, hopeful speeches. His words dripped with ambition, a promise to restore Sandhurst to its former glory. Behind closed doors, deals were struck, and loyalties were tested. Whispers of compromise and betrayal snaked through the corridors of power. S4, ambitious words. Emotionless man, true to his name, played his cards close to his chest, his motivations a mystery even to his closest confidant, Hor-A Commander Mike. His faith in Amy unwavering, campaigned tirelessly, his belief in her fueled by love and ambition. S1, silent observation. The tension was palpable. The very air seemed to crackle with unspoken anxieties and hidden agendas. The election had become a crucible, testing the limits of loyalty and ambition. Each handshake, each whispered conversation carried the weight of the future. S2, tireless campaigning. The kiss echoed through the room, a shocking breach of decorum that shattered the fragile peace. Amy, caught in a moment of weakness, had succumbed to Bassman's charms. The image, captured by a security camera and splashed across the rec room's television screen, spread like wildfire. The room erupted in a cacophony of gasps and murmurs. Commander Mike, his face ashen, stared at the screen in disbelief. The world seemed to tilt on its axis, the ground beneath his feet crumbling. S3, moment of weakness. His wife, his love, his trust, all betrayed in a single damning moment. He stumbled back, his hand instinctively reaching for his holster, but reason, however tenuously, held him in check. S2, disbelief. The scandal ripped through Sandhurst like a hurricane, leaving devastation in its wake. Amy's supporters, their faith shaken, questioned their loyalty. Bassman, initially caught off guard, quickly regained his composure, using the scandal to paint himself as a victim of Amy's manipulative seduction. S2, instinctive reach. The fallout was immense, and the once solid foundations of Sandhurst's political landscape were left in ruins. S4, composed reaction. The election results arrived, casting a pall over the once lively rec room. The vote was split down the middle, a tie. Sandhurst held its breath, Baseman as Bassman. After tense negotiations, a compromise was reached. Amy would serve as Vice Prime Minister, while I would assume the mantle of Prime Minister. It was a victory for both, and yet a hollow one. The scandal had left its mark. The soldiers, once united in their pursuit of a better future, were now divided, their loyalties fractured. The air was thick with suspicion and resentment. The easy camaraderie that had once defined Sandhurst was gone, replaced by a tense and uneasy truce. Commander Mike, as Commander Mike, stripped of my position and my pride, I retreated into the shadows. The betrayal cut deep, leaving me disillusioned and adrift. I had lost my wife, my career, my place in the world I knew, but in the ashes of my defeat, a spark of defiance ignited. I would not be broken, I would not be forgotten. Baseman, now Prime Minister, reveled in his newfound power. He moved with an air of authority, his every word carrying the weight of his office. But his victory had come at a price. The scandal had tarnished his image, and the whispers of his infidelity followed him like a shadow. Amy as Amy. My reputation was in tatters, and I struggled to reconcile my ambition with the consequences of my actions. The guilt gnawed at me, a constant reminder of the price I had paid for power. I had achieved my goal, but at what cost? And in the shadows, Slavčić watched, his eyes gleaming with avarice. He had played his part in the election, exploiting the chaos to his advantage. Now he was owed a debt, and he would collect. Weeks turned into months. The dust settled, revealing a new order at Sandhurst. Baseman, his grip on power tightening, consolidated his position. Amy, her influence waning, found herself increasingly sidelined, and Commander Mike, written off by many as a broken man, was quietly plotting his return. Commander Mike as Commander Mike. I discovered a discrepancy in the rec room's finances, a trail of deceit that led directly to Slavčić. I confronted him, using the information as leverage to regain my co-owner title. It was a risky gamble, a play that relied on Slavčić's greed outweighing his loyalty to Baseman. The gamble paid off. Slavčić, tempted by the promise of even greater riches, agreed to Mike's terms. Commander Mike was back, his position restored, his reputation salvaged. But his victory was a Pyrrhic one, tainted by the knowledge that he had achieved it through blackmail and manipulation. Commander Mike as Commander Mike. As I surveyed the familiar surroundings of the rec room, a ghost of a smile played on my lips. I was back in the game, but the rules had changed. The Sandhurst he returned to was not the one he had left. It was a place of shadows and whispers, where loyalty was fluid and ambition knew no bounds. And he, Commander Mike, was now a player in this dangerous new game.